Welcome again to another TCM tip of the week. This is John Matus. I'm going to be walking you through today a little bit on using your learning management system and putting some online courses onto TCM. Understanding that this is kind of a new feature and that many of you have never engaged the online education as a big medium, my hope is that we could go ahead and give you some pointers on the intricacies of using TCM for this particular activity. So what I want to do is I just want to today take a very small digestible piece of information, which is casting and making a program for TCM online. And we can talk a little bit about like adding content at another time, but the premise here is pretty simple. TCM, as you know, has several different types of courses. You can have an instructor-led program, which is what 99% of you are scheduling. You can have a key course, sort of the type that you purchase a number of unlock keys for a third-party website and you dispense them with TCM. I would say probably 20% of you are doing some of that. And this newer one is the idea of using an online course. And for the purposes of our discussion here, an LMS and an App Store course are the same, meaning that they're both online delivered courses by TCM. And as you know, TCM is capable of both hosting your course content, registering the student, collecting fees where necessary, administering the content, and then allowing the student to print certificates. So it's sort of designed for all continuing education activities as necessary to deliver online content. So let's talk a little bit about scheduling your program. It's done in the same area. And this, of course, assumes that you have set up a course type. So this is a course type that I have set up in our system. I've uploaded some content. I've put some tests on it. I've made a couple of webinars on that. I will probably end up doing another one, sort of a soup to nuts one where we do all aspects of it. Also, there'll be some discussion in the webinar about this. But I have this online course type called Online Start Triage New Jersey Tags. And when you schedule it in TCM, you basically go ahead and open up the form from scratch. This one's been pre-made, but you can kind of see how it works. You enter your client. So a couple of things about online courses. You probably would like to make a client with the name of your own training center. You probably have this already. Presumably you guys host courses at your location and thus may have yourselves in there as a client already. Where it gets a little different is because there is no physical location, you should consider making a site called Online Program, because that'll tell the student that your program is virtually hosted as opposed to being held at a specific location. Here's an example of our setup for our site. It's under Client Less Stress Instructional Services. The name of the location is Online Program. The address is simply our web address. And then program taken online is address 2. Now, what this tells the student is that the program is not held in any one particular location. In fact, their email confirmation will print with this info. So this is a really kind of nice way of reaffirming to the student that this is an online course and they're not expected to show up anywhere. If you put your site address in here, it gets a little ambiguous because, 123 Main Street will appear and the student at that point says, well, I thought this thing was online. Why do I have to show up to 123 Main Street? So this is a good way of doing that. So other fields are pretty similar. Number of students is the limitation on this. So you may ask yourself, why would I want to limit the students in a course if it's online and I can, do unlimited students without worrying about ratios and schedules and all that? Well, the reason for that is you may not always be doing 100% open to the public. You may be doing restricted open to the public or restricted private. So let me give you a quick example. Let's say you have an agreement with the ABC Fire Department around the corner from you to provide education. And for the education that you have provided, you are willing to put 50 of their employees/members into this course. You would limit that to 50. So that's important because, you don't necessarily want the ABC Fire Department giving away free seats to the XYZ Fire Department because you'd like to engage the XYZ Fire Department personally. So the idea here is there are going to be times where you want to put controls on the seating. That is particularly true when you start doing all-you-can-eat type education for a location. Remember, online education for the most part is quote-unquote free, unless, you're buying keys or something like that. But the idea of TCM is the content is done and, the product that we sell does not have a restriction on number of seats. So those are a little bit tricky waters because what ends up happening is absent a financial incentive or financial disincentive, people sometimes are a little fast and loose with the seats. And you don't necessarily want that because it'll devalue your product and in turn devalue our product. So Limiting the seats is wise under many circumstances, so just keep that in mind. Course type, easy enough. You select it off the pick list like any other course. Okay. Course start date. Okay, this is where we start to talk a little bit about how TCM works. As you folks know, the course start date is in TCM historically like the first day you show up to class, and likewise the first time you show up to class. In an online course, it is the first day the course is available. So frequently you will be scheduling these in the past, meaning if it's January 3rd and you want to offer a program for all of 2015, you might go with January 1st through 12/31/15. So basically, course start time and date is the first day you want to make the course available. So enter that. Again, frequently this will be in the past as opposed to being in the future. That's a slight change in dynamics. Course end date is auto-calculated. We'll talk about that in a second when we deal with multi-sessions. And then registration end is an important one because it's handled a little differently in TCM. As you know, online programs don't necessarily have to have registrations end before the course is offered, meaning if I offer the course on April 1st, like you see here in the screen, I may be willing to take registrations for this program through the end of the course, again, 12/31/15 in some cases. So you need to manually enter, because remember, TCM always kind of thinks that you're doing a course that's instructor-led, and it will auto-calculate the reg end date at 4/1/2015 at midnight. So you'll want to go ahead and manually enter a registration end date. So important point in our little conversation here today, reg end dates should always be further out than course start dates when we're talking about online courses only. Okay, that's an important one. Multi-session schedule, let's go over here. Historically, TCM would just enter the session, right? So if it's a 2-hour course and it starts at 4/1 at 4 p.m., it would just calculate it out and end the course at 4/1 at 6 p.m. You need to be substantially more liberal with the times because keep in mind, the way TCM handles online courses is it makes one giant session for all the time you want to offer the course. So for example, let's say that this is a 2-hour online class and you want to offer it for a year. The session is not 2 hours long. The session is 8,640 hours long. So what you need to do is basically establish a session that spans all of the time that you want to go ahead and offer the course. So in this case, because I wanted to offer it for roughly a year, I put in 8,640 hours. Now, I put a little easy math reminder over here of how many hours equals a week roughly. And you can, play with this a little bit as you see fit. At the end of the day, everything will auto-calculate here for you. So, if it's leap year or whatever, you can do a little bit of math. But the idea here is you'll want to schedule one gigantic session for the entire duration of the course. That's how that works. So if you're willing to take registrations for this course right up to the end, because after all, it's only 2 hours long. So if you wanted a last-minute person to be able to go ahead and get in on the class, you may change this to 3/26/16, meaning the course ends that date at 4 p.m., and I'm willing to take registrations up to that date at 0 hours. Okay, that means on the very last day of the course, somebody could still register up to 0 hours or midnight or whatever of that day. So that becomes important. Open to the public. Check mark, of course, because in this case I want to offer it to the public. You may not do this all the time. Again, you may have a private 10-seat offering for the local fire department for their guys. So just keep in mind you can play with that as you see fit. Sorting. So you should make a sort code for online programs. I'm not saying you absolutely have to, because you may just do online programs for EMT electives and it might fit better under here than it does down here. But frequently the people who consume online programs are specifically trying not to show up somewhere. and sticking the program amidst a whole bunch of other like instructor-led offerings can sometimes be a little confusing. So you need to think about like who your audience is and what the best way to do this. We chose to put online programs separately. As our offerings grow, we may actually subdivide this into online EMT electives, online industrial safety courses, online nursing electives, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But what I want you to appreciate here is sort codes are incredibly useful for finding content that you want fast. If you're not utilizing them, you need to give them some serious thoughts, because I am willing to bet that you are losing registrations because of it. I can assure you, if somebody is looking for an instructor program and you make them fight through 27 pages of Heartsaver to find their instructor program, you're probably losing some people who just don't have the patience. So sorting is important. You should give that some thought. Location, well, none of them really apply now because the truth is we don't really have a physical location. So if you have set up your location codes for geography, you should probably make one called online programs, because the geography is cyberspace, so it's a little different than what you're used to. So you might consider doing that. So this is our whole program. Let's look at it in another browser, how the student would see it. Okay. So this is sort code online programs. Here's some other stuff we're offering, but this is our class right here. Okay. So you'll notice, everybody, Wednesday, April 1st is the start date. Sunday, May 31st is the end date, because that is the reg end. I haven't saved the screen yet. Let's do that real quick. So 3/26/16 was the reg end. Okay, show you that one more time. There you are. Now, if I refresh the browser on this side, see, it just became Saturday the 26th. So that date will change dynamically, not based on the end of the session like it would for an instructor-led course, but rather based on the reg end date. Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about some pitfalls and how we can mess this up, because it's often useful to see the error to avoid it. First error, of course, would be not editing the reg end. So the auto population is usually this, right? It registers it for the midnight of the day of the course. That's kind of how TCM would auto calculate that. And if I go back to the browser and refresh it, watch what happens. Boom, online course is gone. Why? Registration end date has passed. So lesson for us, registration end date controls students being able to see it. So let's make sure that we put in here the true last date of the course that you want to offer it. And again, having done that, refresh, and you'll see that triage tags is back, maybe. Let's have a look. Oh, yep, see, mistake on the expiration date. Again, easy to do. So if you ever get a course that's not popping up, got to check those dates. In this case, typo on my end. So there's New Jersey triage tags back. Okay. Let's make a couple of other scheduling errors here. Multi-session is the other one. If I did not change the number of hours of the course, finish time would show 4:01. Let's save that up. Let's refresh this guy. See the student side. Boom, triage tags is gone. Why? Well, the registration date is still okay, but the course has ended already on 4/1/2015. So keep in mind, we need to put a number of hours here that is corresponding to the total offering in whatever days, weeks, whatever you want to do. Easy calculation of time is down here. Okay, and if I correct that and now refresh this guy one more time, the student side, you will now see New Jersey triage tags pop back up. And there you are. One last thing comes up once in a while, kind of obvious, but and universally applicable to all courses, but I forget it all the time. Open to the public. So once again, if your course does not appear online, refresh this guy again, you will see it's often because it's not open to the public. So if you intend students to be able to see it online, which is true for many, many, many online courses, got to make sure Open to the Public is on there. And I've just corrected that, and I'm going to go back, resend, and you will see the program pop back up. So that was your tutorial on how to schedule an online class, whether you're using an App Store offering that you got off of our application store, or whether you scheduled it yourself using your learning management system and made it from scratch. TCM offers you the opportunity to deliver online education in an exciting way. I hope this has been kind of useful for you. Our product is Training Center Manager. You can find it at trainingcentermanager.com. And remember, big webinar next week, or not next week, but next month on the 11th. So the email that you might have received with this tip of the week has that info in it. If you have any questions, please let us know. Thanks.